I'm Lilith Eeckels Garden Girl here at twopeasinabucket.com. Welcome to another installment of 213 in 2013, your weekly Monday video series here at 2Ps. Today I'm going to show you how I created this layout, and at the same time I'll be giving you 4 prompts that might help you jumpstart your creativity. Let me first walk you through all the supplies I used. So first of all, I used one of these collection packs from Teresa Collins, and this one is the He Said, She Said collection. Some 6x6 paper pads from Crate Paper and Studio Calico. I also had some 12x12 sheets of paper from Crate Paper, Studio Calico, American Craft, some Amy Tangerine thickers and some DIY shop overlays, wood veneer, stickers and ribbon, and last but not least, my favorite product at the moment, rub-ons. I decided to use one of the papers from the Maggie Holmes collection as background paper. I loved the cloud design on it and the lovely colors, the aquas and the hints of pink on the side, but I did want to reinforce the color a little bit. So what I did was onto some scrap plastic from a plastic bag that I had, I sprayed some Mr. Huey's water cooler, diluted that with water, and then took another piece of scrap plastic and used that to dab the ink onto my layout. And this creates a really nice effect on the paper. And you could do this on cardstock as well and create your own backgrounds, and it has a bit of a watercolor effect. So once I'm happy with the overall result, I'm going to leave my paper to dry, and here I'm just going to use my heat gun to speed up the process. And when I use my heat gun, I start heating from the back and then just flatten everything with my hand, and that way the paper will warp a little less. So once the paper is dry, I can start choosing the different elements for my layout. This brings me to my first prompt, and that is to use pink for a boy layout. Now I have 4 boys, but I really love pink, and in the beginning I didn't dare use pink with any of the photos of my boys. But then I said, no, why not? Pink is not for boys, blue is not for girls, so here I'm going to show you how you can use pink with a boy layout. So I chose some of the papers from the 6x6 paper pads, and I really love how the 2 collections, the Maggie Holmes collection and the Sundrifter collection from Studio Calico, they go really well together. The colors complement each other and just fun to mix these 2 collections together. So now that I've chosen my pattern papers, I'm going to go ahead and cut out a few other elements that I'll be using on my layout. So here I've picked out one of the cards from the paper from Teresa Collins, and I'm also going to be cutting out a few strips from this pattern paper from Studio Calico, and here I've decided to go with some of the blues, the aqua blues, just to complement with the pinks that I already picked out with the sheets from the 6x6 pads. So here I'm just cutting them all up, and I'll see how I'll be using them on my layout. So here's another one. This is another little card from the American Crafts Dear Lizzie collection, and I'm just going to roll my paper over one more time so that it doesn't warp too much. And here I've taken out those sheets that I chose earlier, and I'm going to cut them into pieces and start layering them. So I'm not measuring anything here, I'm just trying things out, trial and error, and just seeing how everything looks. I really love how these pinks work well with the lovely blue aqua from the Maggie Holmes paper. And this is the first part of the layer, and I'm going to add my photo and see how it looks. I decided to use one of the overlays from the DIY shop collection from Crate Paper, and these are really fun to use. You can put them over a photo, and I'm also going to use a few of the smaller ones to the side. Here is the Teresa Collins card. I'm just going to cut it up a bit because I just want to use the today part. And I'm going to use one of the leftover pieces and just slip it under the photo, and this will just act as one of the layers as well. I'm just going to play around with all the little pieces that I cut up and just see how they look. And as I am just, well, we can say making this up as we go, I don't plan too much in advance. I have a general idea. We'll just see how everything looks and I'll just go from there. Things might change a bit, but that's okay. Here's my second prompt, and it's to use ribbon. I have chosen quite a few of the ribbon spools from the American Crafts collections. So I've got 3 collections here. One is the XOXO collection. I've also picked some ribbon from the Amy Tangerine Yes Please collection, as well as some ribbon from the Lucky Charm collection from Dear Lizzie. I think I really love all the ribbon, and I have a huge collection. I don't know how I'm going to use them all, but they're so fun to use, and I really love the designs and the colors on them. So first of all, I thought I'd use the ribbon as little strips and just place them over my layout, as you can see here. And then I decided that it just didn't work well, and what I did was that I added them to the sides and just I folded them in half and added a little bit of glue and made like little loops with them, and I used different colors and different designs and just added them to the side. I'm going to continue adding my ribbon until I'm pleased with how everything looks. Now, this is just a little bit fiddly, and as I haven't stuck anything down, everything is moving around. I'm going to stick down the ribbon because I don't want to have them move around too much. Now here is the third prompt, and that is to rub it on with rub-ons. I really love the fact that rub-ons are making a comeback, and on this layout I decided to use some of the Amy Tangerine Yes Please rub-ons, and these are really fun because they have this like doodle look or pencil look about them. I chose one of the ampersand and also one of the words, and it said wonderful, and the wonderful is going to be part of my title. I think I'm going to add the ampersand below the overlay. Really like the way that looks. And at this point I haven't stuck anything down, but I'm going to try and add my title and just see how it looks. As I don't want to stick it down just yet, I'm going to add my title onto some of my acrylic blocks that I use for stamping. I really like using the acrylic blocks because it helps me see where the title is, and at the same time I can see the design beneath it. So I'm going to be using the Amy Tangerine thickers for the water word, and here I've picked the crepe paper thickers, and I'm going to spell the word sun with it. I really like the way these thickers look, and thought they looked a bit like a sun. As you'll see later on, I will swap those out with another font because I thought they took up too much place on the layout. Okay, at this part I really like how the design looks, so this is really the basic design. I'll probably add a little some more elements along the way, but I'm going to start sticking things down. So here for the main part with the layers, I'm going to use my stapler. I really like using my long reach stapler, as it allows me to add other papers or little embellishments underneath the cluster. Okay, now that all my layers have been adhered to the page, I'm going to go ahead and add my photo. So here I'm just using some glue, and once that is glued down, I'm also going to add the overlay. So these overlays are from crepe paper, from the DIY shop collection, and they are really fun to use, and they instantly add something extra to your photo. So no need to use a photo editing program. These overlays just do the job for you. Okay, now I'm going to start adding the rub-ons, and rub-ons are really easy to use. You just take off the backing paper, and I'm going to use the back of a paintbrush and just rub the design onto the paper. Now when I do this, I will start lifting off little parts of the paper just to see if everything has transferred well, and if not, I'll just go over it another time. Okay, now I'm also going to transfer the word wonderful onto the layout, and I'm going to do the same thing, just take the back of the paintbrush and just rub over the word. Now what happened here was that the paper moved just a little bit while I was rubbing it on, and so some of the letters weren't really perfectly transferred, so I just took a pencil and went over the lines that weren't perfect. At this point, I think I'm going to adhere my title as well, and all the other embellishments will be placed later on, and I'll work around the title. So here I'm adding the word water. In the end, you'll see that I'll move it up just a little bit so that it's just above the overlay. And I also decided to swap out the crepe paper thickers for some other thickers, and I chose some of the Amy Tangerine thickers here. I just thought they looked better, and they took up just a little less space in the end. I'm really happy with how the title is coming along, and I decided I was going to add a few more little pieces of ribbon. So I'm just going to cut some extra little strips and create those little loops like I did earlier on. Add a few more to the right, so to the right hand side of the layout, and I'm going to add a few more of these little strips to the left as well. And this will help with the flow of the overall layout, and it will just guide the eye over. Now that I've adhered all the ribbon to the sides, I'm going to add a few more rub-ons, and here I've chosen to use some of the Jenny Bolin rub-ons, and these are really lovely. On the page you've got stars and little hearts, some circles and mason jars, and here I decided to use one of the circles, which I'm going to cut in half. I'm just playing around with them, seeing where I'm going to place them. I've decided to put one of the halves to the left of the photo and the other to the right, just above the ribbon. And I'm also going to cut out two little butterflies, and I'm going to add one of those little butterflies just above the word sun. And I'm going to use my little paintbrush to do that. And then the other one I'm just going to add above the word today, which was on the Teresa Collins journaling card. This brings me to our fourth prompt, which is to doodle. On my layout, what I decided to do was to add a little something to the outside border of the background paper, and doodling is a great way to do this. So I used my precision pen from American Crafts, and I'm going to create a sequence of L's and E's and just go around the whole outside border. And so I'm just writing one L and then a double E and then an L again, and just repeating the same design along the border. I decided not to doodle on the rub-on itself, which is on the edge, as there is a thin plastic foil on the top, and the precision pen, the ink won't stick to that. So I just jumped over that and continued until I arrived at the very end. Everyone has a pen on hand, and it's such a fun way to add little details. You could do some force stitching around some paper or your photo. It's just a really fun way to add a little pizzazz to your layout. Now I've taken out this die cut sheet from Teresa Collins, and I'm just going to take a few of the dies and just play around with them on my layout until I'm satisfied with the overall look. In the end, I went with this circle die cut and a few of the labels and a little banner, and I thought they worked really well with the colors of the papers that I had chosen. I also want to really focus on the photo and the title, and I want to add something that draws the eye towards these elements, and so I've picked some of the chevrons, the wood veneer chevrons from Studio Calico, and I'm adding them to either side of the layout. I'm now going to finish off the title, and as it is now, the title says Water and Sun, and I'm just going to write Made This Day and add a little arrow pointing to the word wonderful. And so the title is Water and Sun Made This Day Wonderful. So the little arrow is another little doodle element that I added to the page. I'm going to start gluing down all the embellishments, like the wood veneer, the die cuts, and then I'm going to add a few little finishing touches to the layout. I really love the look of all the pink from the die cuts and the papers, but I really wanted to balance it out with a little bit more blue. And I took out this 12 by 12 sheet from Lucky Charm, the Dear Lizzie collection, and I loved this little journaling card which said "You are so awesome." But I'm just going to use the little shape on it, and it's got a little blue chevron shape on it, and it goes really well with all the pink and just balances everything out nicely. I'm going to add that below the die cuts here. I also decided I wanted to fill up the space around the title, and I'm going to use some confetti for this. So I just used a really tiny circle punch and punched out a few of the polka dots from the paper I used earlier on. And I also took out my EK Success confetti punch and punched out a few pieces of confetti with that. Now I decided I was going to be a little bit picky, and I only wanted the confetti with the pink floral design on it. So I had to punch it out several times and just sort through all the confetti and find those that would work well with the layout. Now once I had all my confetti together, I started placing all the pieces on the layout, just doing it really randomly and trying to mix the largest pieces with the smaller ones. And once I was happy with that, I just started gluing them down with a glue pen. I really like how the confetti looks on the layout, but I just want to add a little splash of blue, and what I did was I mixed some of the Mr. Huey's water cooler mist with some water in just a little plastic cup, and then I used a coffee stirrer and just added a few splatters over the layout. So, there you have it, my layout is finished. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of 213 in 2013. Let me just remind you of the 4 prompts. The first one was to use pink for a boy layout. Number 2, get out those ribbons. Number 3, rub it on with rub-ons. And last but not least, doodle on your layout. My challenge for you this week is to use one of these 4 prompts. Don't forget to upload your creation to the gallery, and you might win one of the gift vouchers at the end of the month. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye bye!